2 months down and 5 more to go in the Anaheim Ducks High School Hockey League before we crown a champion. But let's not get way too far ahead of ourselves. We're going to take a look back at October here on the ADHSHL Monthly Digest for October. Hi, everybody, and welcome inside the rinks at Anaheim Ice. I'm Erik Pessolano. This is my partner, Chuck Lejsek. As always, we are here to recap the action from the month of October in the league, and there was a lot going on, Chuck. We're going to start in Varsity Division 1, and of course, we always got to talk about the Santa Margarita Eagles because of what they've meant to this league. And during that month of October, they were 2-0. They took down Capistrano United. They took down Tahoe Hockey Academy. And I'm sure Craig Johnson's got to be happy with his team's performance.
Well, so far, it's been a great month for Santa Margarita and a great start off to the season for them. They lost a lot of firepower at the last year, and now they're sitting there coming back with some returning players. So they're beginning, they're gelling, they're doing a good job. It's going to be interesting to see how the year progresses as they move forward.
Now, moving on, we saw Tahoe Hockey Academy make their debut here in the Anaheim Ducks High School Hockey League. And, Chuck, they came out and they didn't disappoint over their first weekend.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned beforehand they did lose that one to Santa Margarita, but then they had their first crossover game against Poway, and then they ended up beating Poway, so they came down 1-1. And it's a good start, at least for your first trip down. You get a little nervous, you get the travel weary legs and stuff like that. But Tahoe Hockey Academy did not disappoint.
No, they came down and got their first win in franchise or school history, if you will. So it was a successful weekend for them. We move along now. We talk about the J. Sarah Lions, who they got off to a rough start at the start of the year. They got their first 2 wins of the year in October, and they made a coaching change as well, of course. Now Jeff Noviello at the helm for the Lions, but they were able to turn things around in October.
Yeah, and thankfully because of Division 2, I believe it was. I believe they both beat Villa Park and the Classical Academy, but things are going to go well. And Jay Sarah, after every season, what they do is they really do start off slow, but the one good thing about them is they keep on building. By the time comes playoff time, they're a force as always.
Now, we haven't seen the Bellarmine Bells down here in Anaheim just yet, but they have hosted some home games up there in San Jose, and during October, they were only able to score twice in the 3 games that they played, but they did defeat Tahoe Hockey Academy 1-0 that game back on October the 30th, so right before Halloween. That was a nice gift for them. But still, we're going to see Bellarmine after the start of the year when they come down here to Anaheim for their first games.
But then also, you say I see that they have their first game actually is at Lakewood on December 4th.
Yeah, they'll be down here in Southern California just before the year goes out, and then they'll be down here in Anaheim on January the 6th. So when we talk about Division 1, of course, it's going to start at the top. We're going to finish at the top this time around as we talk about the Orange Lutheran Lancers, who are just pretty much on autopilot at this point. They go out, they perform every single time.
Well, they've been on autopilot now for the last 2 seasons, basically. Starting off when they beat Santa Margarita 2 years ago for the Division 1 championship, and they won the state title. But, what we've seen from Orange Lutheran, what they do is they rely on goaltending at first. We saw it beforehand with A-Square Austin, Alarcon. Now they're coming through with Connor Taharian. The goaltending as well, but on top of it, when you have a forecheck and defense like Orange Lutheran does, they're a real tough team to beat.
Yeah, they were 5-0 in October. They've upped their record now to 7-0 with 1 overtime win. They have a large lead in Division 1, and it doesn't look like anybody's going to be able to catch them. And we're not even at the halfway point yet. So there's still a lot of hockey left to be played, but for Orange Lutheran, they're getting it done every time they get out there.
And don't forget that coming up at the beginning of November, they will be playing also Santa Margarita. That promises to be a good game as well.
Yeah, we're looking for that one. Looking forward to that one for sure. Now, let's move along to our Varsity Division 1 Player of the Month. And, of course, it's going to be from Orange Lutheran, and the way this guy performs, it's really no shock to the rest of the league.
Oh, no, Parker Brakebill, absolutely outstanding. What else can you say about this kid? He had 5 goals, 4 assists. He had 2 power play points, so he had a goal and assist in the 5 games. And, of course, Olu was 5-0 in that span. 2 goals, including the game winner against Damien, which was a tougher game for them as well, the crossover game. But, overall, they're, I want to say, is it 7-0-1 now? Something like that. And what else can you talk about? What else can you say about Parker Brakebill? Just absolutely, it seems like he's been around forever, too. I want to say 6-7 seasons now, but it's only his senior year. Absolutely outstanding player on both ends of the ice.
And we were fortunate enough to catch up with Parker and see what he had to say about winning his Player of the Month award for the Anaheim Ducks High School Hockey League. All right, we're here with the Varsity Division 1 Player of the Month for October. Parker Brakebill is able to join us here on Black Dog Enterprises. Thanks so much for joining us, Parker.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's talk a little bit about the month of October for you guys. Everything went well. You guys continue to win. You go out there, you dominate just about every game you play. What has been the key to success for the Lancers this season?
I think everyone's they want to be there and they're working hard. We're playing as a team. A lot of our goals this year are really coming off good team connections and really battling down low and stuff. I really think just everyone wants to be out there and they want to play.
You individually had 9 points in the month of October. You had 5 goals, 4 assists. When you're out there on the ice, what are you looking for? Are you looking to score? Are you looking to pass? You seem pretty balanced as far as the numbers are concerned.
I look at myself more as a pass-first kind of player, but this year I'm taking more shots, I think, and a lot of my goals are coming off rebounds, so a lot of my teammates getting good shots on net and just finishing off in the dirty work.
Going forward as the season progresses, you guys are going to have some tough battles coming up. You're going to see Santa Margarita. You're going to see J. Sarah, of course, the usual suspects in Division 1. When you go into a game against one of your rivals, do you guys go through scouting reports? What is it you're looking at to try to get the upper edge on your opponent?
Well, we've been playing against them for a while now, so we know their top guys and stuff. Video review, but really it's just more mentally preparing through ourselves on the ice and worrying about ourselves. On
more of a personal level, off the ice, I hear you're a big fisherman. You love golf. You want to talk a little bit about golf. So you go in the off season, you hit the course. What's your handicap?
Actually, I did not know my handicap. I've been playing though since I was, I think, 5, so before hockey, but I kind of played competitively in tournaments and stuff, and then ended up opting out of that for hockey when I was around 12.
I heard you hit a hole-in-one recently. How was that experience?
That's pretty crazy. It was kind of winning states. It's once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Getting back to the hockey side of things, when you played juniors, you played under Scott Niedermeyer, who was obviously well-beloved in this area, of course. What was it like being able to learn from him during your younger playing days? It
was really great. He's a great guy and a great coach, and he just has so much passion for the game and stuff, and he's an awesome guy. He taught us real well, but he's probably one of the best coaches I've ever had, just watching him and looking up to him when I was younger to then finally being coached by him when I was at Bantam, and it was a really great experience.
What are some of the differences that you noticed between playing with the Junior Ducks and then coming over here to the ADHSHL?
Well, the Ducks, I feel like, you're playing for your club and you're playing for your team, but with the ADHSHL, it's really cool because you're here and you're playing for your school, and it means something more because you're playing for the boys and also your school.
Talk a little bit about your time away from sports even completely. We hear you're a student life delegate, and also you took a couple of mission trips to some reservations. Talk a little bit about that work outside of hockey.
So last year I went on my first missions trip. A couple hockey guys went on it, and actually our coach Joe, he went too. And so that was a great experience going up to Bishop and helping out with the Native American reservations. Student life delegate, that's all the different leaders from the sports team. So I've been on that the past 2 years, and it's really cool to talk with the school and help develop the sport more at school along with all the other schools, get more kids out to the game, get the school supporting the team more.
Well, that sounds fantastic. Great work on your part. Moving forward now with the rest of the hockey season, obviously you guys are state champions a couple of times, moving through the Nationals. Hasn't worked out quite the way you guys have wanted to in the past. What are you guys looking to do if you're able to get back to Nationals?
Obviously our ultimate goal is a national championship. States comes first, but we're playing a lot of better teams and stuff outside of league and really preparing well for the national championship, going to outside tournaments and stuff and playing against teams we'll see at the national championship.
Parker, thanks so much for your time. He's Parker Brakebill. He is the Division 1 Player of the Month in the ADHSHL. A great honor for Parker Brakebill. I want to thank him for stopping by and talking a little bit of hockey with us too. And
outstanding young man. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Parker.
Absolutely. So congratulations to Parker. Let's move on now. We're going to move to Varsity Division 2. A lot of action going on there at that level.
That's going to be a fun league. I'll tell you what, coming through at the end, this is going to be a fun league to watch.
Let's start at the top this time with Division 2. We're going to talk about St. John Bosco, and this is a team that just goes out. We talked about Orange Lutheran at Division 1. How about St. John Bosco at Division 2?
St. John Bosco is absolutely dominating. Look right now. They won their last both games in October. They had 2 7-goal outputs versus, I think it was Villa Park and Classical Academy. Poor Classical Academy. We keep on railing on it a little bit. After they lost, that was the Orange Lutheran, I think, beforehand. But honestly, what else can you say about this St. John Bosco team? Honestly, outstanding. They have 3 players in particular that just keep on the way they move. These kids are just nonstop, and it's like they're on autopilot, like you mentioned with Orange Lutheran earlier. Just absolutely outstanding. Not only are they responsible defensively, but man, can they get up there and they kill with the speed, and they're absolutely outstanding at both ends of the ice. Goaltending isn't bad either.
Yeah, absolutely. They have just been on fire, and as you mentioned, won both their games there in October. A team who's returning to form a little bit is Capistrano United. They went 3-1 in October. They won a couple of games down in San Diego. Both trips they made down there, as a matter of fact. They were 1-1 up here in Anaheim, and their only loss of the month was to a Division I opponent in Santa Margarita.
Yeah, Capo, I mean, United, honestly, you look at the firepower that they lost from the previous season, and we saw them in September. It took them a little while to get things going, but it seems like, as the season progresses, they could be like the Division II answer to Jay Serra, where they start off slow, they start to realize and they get themselves into the system, and it'd be really interesting to see how it moves forward. I think October is just another stepping stone until where they become more and more potent in this Division II scene.
So we move to the third team in the division. It's Cathedral Central, and the Jets. They had a couple of losses in that month. They lost to Capistrano United twice, which is what propelled Capistrano United into second place. But they're still hanging around in there, and in their first season in the league, they've looked pretty okay.
No, exactly. Was that the game that we saw them against Damien? Was that Cathedral? Oh, and man, they had a great game against Damien, I think, where they won 2-1, where they had that last goal in the, I want to say, with like 37 seconds or in the final minute of the game. This team is not only well defensively, they have outstanding goaltending as well. Their forecheck is not as strong, but of course, we only see him a couple times. We only saw him play Damien. Damien is very strong defensively as well, but still, I think Cathedral Central could be a player in the end when everything is all said and done.
We talk about the Damien Spartans, Chuck, and this is a team that started October in second place, but they fell all the way to fourth after a 2-2 month.
No, exactly. And as I mentioned before, I think that loss to Cathedral Central kind of let the air out of the bag a little bit. They had, they played a great game, and you saw the outstanding goaltender. Their defense was outstanding as well. But still, never discount a very sure coach team. And right now, this is kind of a rough patch. The kids got, you have some problems, you get through them, you iron them out, and you start moving forward. Especially after the first year, this team's going to be relevant once again in Division II.
Yeah, and you talk about Barry Shear on his third team in this league. He started with Edison, went to Newport Mesa, now he's with the Damien Spartans. So he certainly knows his way around the league.
I forgot Newport Mesa. Sorry about that.
As far as the teams in San Diego combined, they went 5-9 in the month of October. It was a little rough for them. We're going to focus here on Classical Academy. They were 0-4 in the month, but there is good news for the Caymans, as among their final 8 opponents, they only faced 2 teams with a winning record.
Well, you have to feel sorry for the Caymans. I love saying the Cayman name, by the way. The Caymans are, honestly, the one thing is they've had some tough games. Yeah. Honestly, you want to talk about a top-loaded schedule, especially at the first half of the season, and poor Classical. Honestly, what else can you say? They're running in, but I'll tell you one thing. I think it's going to make them stronger as they come through. As you mentioned, they're going to play the back half of the division on the back end of their schedule. And I think it's not only going to give them confidence, but it's going to give them a little more continuity as well. And the best thing about it is when you get that continuity, especially towards playoff time, you can be in there for a long run.
One team that we didn't focus too much on here during our recap of Division II is the Villa Park Spartans. It has not been one of the greatest seasons in the team's history, but they did get a bright spot this month because they are the owners of the Varsity Division II Player of the Month, and that's Justin Campbell.
Justin Campbell, what else can you say about him? We've seen him for several years. Don't want to sit there and belittle him. We saw his brother as well, Evan, play for a numerous amount of years as well. But Justin Campbell, I believe he was one of the holdovers from that Villa Park championship team 2 years ago, and still you saw them last year. It was a real down year as they lost a lot of players, but I'll tell you what, the leadership of Justin Campbell is one of the sole reasons why Villa Park is still a relevant factor in this D2 situation.
You take a look at Campbell's stats for that month of October. He had 6 goals, a power play goal and a shorthanded goal included in those. He did it over the span of 4 games. The Spartans were 1-3 during that span, but it certainly was not to the detriment of the play of Justin Campbell. Villa Park this year 2-4 on the year. They only had 1 game in the month of October. It was a win against Classical Academy, and then a game-winning goal against Poway for Campbell, and that was back on October the 8th, and that was their only win in the month. So Justin Campbell, our Player of the Month for Varsity Division II, and big accolades to him and the Spartans.
Congratulations once again to Justin Campbell, one of the possibly MVP candidates for the Division II league as well. It'll be interesting to see how he progresses as the season moves on.
All right, Chuck, now we get down to our final division. It's Varsity Division III, but it's so large this year we had to break it into 2 conferences,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So we'll start with the Coastview Conference, and we will start at the top, the Servite Friars. My goodness, all of our divisions seem to have somebody running away with it, and right now it's Servite, who's 10-0 so far this year. They were 5-0 in October, but not everything was a runaway. They won 4 of their games by just 1 goal, and one of the games was a 2-goal differential.
Well, that's the best thing about these Division III, although you might have one team running away with it. But the best part is all these games are close. And I tell you what, right now, Servite, who lost a lot of firepower the last 2 years, they're sitting there going on. I mean, they have some senior leadership from several key players. Their goaltending is absolutely outstanding. But the one thing is that they're having problems putting the puck in the net once in a while, and I think that's allowing the rest of the division to kind of keep pace with them. And right now, that's why you're seeing a lot of close games, 1-2 goal games right now.
Yeah. We move on to the Santa Margarita Eagles. They only had a couple of games in October. They fell to Edison, but they came back and they were able to beat the Beckman Patriots.
Well, what else can you say about Santa Margarita? I mean, this is basically the feeder. And we've seen them a couple times. They've had some outstanding games as well. We've had to do a couple games with them. We'll see a team. We'll see the guys play a D3 game, and then they get called up to the big club for D1 as well. I mean, this is a good opportunity. This team is basically sets the standard for the D1 team, and I think it's a great move by Craig Johnson of not only having that D3 team to get some of the experience and the feel of this league, and it helps them move up to D1.
And we don't want to overlook this too. At the bottom of the division this year, Woodbridge and Huntington Beach, they were winless going into October, but both of those teams got their first wins of the season, and that's got to be a positive note for both of those
exactly.
clubs.
Especially after you get your first win. I believe Woodbridge came back. I believe they were at the JV level last year, were they not? So it's a good thing for them. Huntington Beach, they've been relevant for a while, and it's good to see them come back as well. I mean, I think after you get the first victory of the season, it does well. It bodes well for your team. It gives a sense of confidence, and it helps out when it comes playoff time.
Yeah, Huntington Beach, they were the JV champions last year, and now they move up to the Varsity Division, and it's been a rough patch, but they got that first win, and that's all that matters at this point in time. We move now to the Crescent Conference. Bishop Amat, they were 2-0 in October. They're in first place, and Chuck laughs.
See me roll my eyes?
Yeah, and Chuck laughs because he knows that Black Dog's own Wyatt Egger is on that Bishop Amat team.
Bishop Amat. I mean, there's no D in Wyatt Egger, as you can tell. And I tease him a lot, but Wyatt Egger is an absolutely outstanding talent. I mean, on top of that line he plays with is just completely dominant. And I'll tell you one thing, they're the favorites, and this is no bias whatsoever, but no nepotistic bias whatsoever. But I'll tell you what, Bishop Amat is my favorite for this D3.
Now, a team that was able to keep pace with Bishop Amat, stay in second place down there in the Crescent Division, was Pacific Ridge School, who went 3-1 in the month. They got a couple of wins over UCA, but they were able to keep pace, and that's what's important at this time.
Exactly. That's games. The points matter as much in October as they do in February. So just remember that. So it's a good thing right now is that for Pacific Ridge, they're getting their points now, where you don't have to worry about catch up later. So it's going to be interesting to see how they move forward. But right now, I like the way this Pacific Ridge squad is skating, and it's going to be interesting to see them come playoff time.
We move now to Chino Valley, who started off with a 1-2 record on the year. They came back in October. They won all 3 of their games. None of them, though, here in Anaheim. They were all over at Lakewood Ice.
They started off that 1-2, but they had the Lakewood games. They come back. They get the 3 victories, and we saw them. We're going to see them at the beginning of November as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they come through. We have yet to see them, so there's not really too much you can say about it. I'll tell you one thing right now: those 3 games that they've won in October so far, that's going to help propel them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have the Las Vegas Storm, who come here to Anaheim, and they have their first games ever in the Anaheim Ducks High School Hockey League. They got their first win in program history against the aforementioned Pacific Ridge Firebirds. That was back on October the 29th. And for Las Vegas, 1-2 in October. Of course, all those games played over a 2-day span because they had to come here to Anaheim Ice to play all those games. But not a bad start for a first-year program.
No, exactly. When especially with all those travel where you come down on a Friday. We saw them play. And actually what I like about this Las Vegas team, they come out and actually I believe they found themselves down by an extremely huge margin. I was want to say 4-1, 5-1. But they came back and they made it close. And what I like about this team is this team never gives up. They do a great job. They follow their coach's system. And on top of it, they're supported by some great goaltending. But on top of it, I like their forecheck as well. And I think as the league progresses on, or their season progresses on, they're going to be more of a relevant force come in the Division III level as the season wears on.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure some of you are sitting at home thinking to yourselves, wait a minute, you went over all the Varsity Division III teams. You went through the Coastview. How come no mention of the Edison Chargers? Well, there's a reason that we saved them for last. and they were 2-2 in October. Both their losses came to Servite, so the team right ahead of them in the standings. But the reason we save them for last is because they are the owners of the Varsity Division 3 Player of the Month, and that's Jake Geely.
Oh, what else can you say about Jake Geely? My goodness, the kid is an absolute stud. It seems like he's been playing in this league now for 6 years. But you want to talk about a team with firepower? Jake Geely defines the firepower, especially for the Edison Chargers. I mean, when he hits the ice, you watch him, and he's tagged by a defenseman. He has a shadow all the time around him. It's amazing. He still can get in the creases and places where he can find an open space to shoot and score. Jake Geely, easy choice for our player for October, or our player of the week, or the month of October.
Yeah, you take a look at the statistics for Jake Geely during Edison's month of October. He had 6 goals as well. One of them was a shorthanded goal. He had 3 assists. All of that happened in just a 3-game span. The Chargers only went 1-2 during that span, but he helped get the job done there. The Chargers 6-2 this year. They're second in the Coastview Conference. We'd mentioned that a little bit earlier. He did have a 4-goal game against Santa Margarita on October 8th. It was the Chargers' only win of the month. But Chuck, as we mentioned, I think the bigger thing about Geely is the fact that he had those 4 goals in a game in which Edison was shorthanded. They only had 5 skaters left on the bench, and he took the team on his shoulders.
Especially when you're rolling 2 lines, after a while, you really start to get winded. I mean, most of these teams will come out with rolling 3 lines. I'll tell you what, Jake Geely, it's not only a testament to his athleticism, but his endurance as well. The kid can skate. He can skate hard, skate for a long time as well.
So we've gone through most of the teams here in the Anaheim Ducks High School Hockey League, give you kind of a sense of what's going on in the division, let you know what happened there in October. You got our take on it, but there's one gentleman whose take we haven't gotten to yet, but Chuck was able to sit down, or stand up in this instance, and talk to the Commissioner, Matt Blanchard, of his thoughts of the month of October.
We're back here, and I have a special guest with us, Commissioner Matt Blanchard here of the ADHSHL. And Matt, give us your thoughts for October so far.
I think October was a great month. I think we had when you have so many games that are so competitive and so close, and a few that go to overtime, I think the divisions, Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, all the schools in each division have been placed properly, and the competitiveness on the ice yields that out.
Great. What do we have to look forward for the month of November?
November is a big month, is an important month. It's we're kind of in the crux of the middle of the season, so teams are trying to start their positioning for the playoffs. We have it's not league affiliated, but I'll say we do a lot with it. Is that the J. Sarah Invitational Tournament for Thanksgiving, which this year happens to be the biggest ever. There's 24 teams involved this year at the tournament, which is the largest number ever. We got the largest number of Canadian teams coming down, which is great. So the level here is going to be top-notch over Thanksgiving. So I think that's going to be the big crux here as we push forward through the month of November.
And as we move forward, we'll go through December, of course, as well. But then we have the All-Star Game coming up. Can you give us any insight to what's going on with the All-Star Game?
Yeah, the All-Star Games are going to be Thursday, January 26th at the Honda Center, as we annually have it there. It's a great event. We will have 3 All-Star games. We're going to start off with the JV All-Star game, followed by the Varsity All-Star game, culminating again with our 2nd annual Senior Game. So anybody that's a senior in the league is eligible for the Senior Game no matter what level they play at. All 3 games, every school has at least 1 participant throughout the night. So the nominations for that will start the end of November. We will select, as a league, the coaches for the All-Star Game, and those coaches will then, in essence, have a draft for their players. They select the All-Star players. Each school nominates their top 7 players, and we go from there.
So then we've already gone through. We've gone through November, December, kind of somewhat of January as you see what's going to happen with the All-Star Game, where you finally culminate the end of the season basically in February, and then come the playoffs.
Yeah. The season ends the end of February. February 20, I want to say 26th, 25th, whatever that Saturday is the last day of the regular season. Playoffs are scheduled to start the 28th of February, and we have our championship game set here for March 11th for all 4 championship games. There'll be a single JV championship game. There'll be a Division 2 and a Division 3 and a Division 1 championship game. The one change for us this year will be that instead of having them at the Honda Center like we have done before in the past, we're going to try something new and have them here at Anaheim Ice. We're not sure. We think that's going to be a good change. We'll see how it plays out. But I think we'll be filling this building with some fans and getting it loud in here with the participation of the schools will be fantastic, is what we're hoping.
And just to finish off, Matt, we've seen this league has grown, and we've seen 2 new schools, especially I'm talking schools like from coming out of the area. You have the Las Vegas squad, and then you also have the league at Division I team from the Tahoe Academy. How do you think their relegation to the league has come about so far?
I think they're doing great. I think they're getting acclimated to it. Whenever we get a new team, whether it's local or remote, the one thing that they don't anticipate is the intensity, the game level, the game speed, how serious the game is taken here. It takes most new schools a year to get acclimated to the speed and the pace and the physicality of the game. As new schools, they're getting used to it. I think Las Vegas got their first win in the month of October.
Correct. Yep.
So good on them. And Tahoe is won a few games as well. So, but I think at the end of the year, most of those schools do get up to speed, and I would expect them to be just as a major presence in the playoffs as anybody else.
And now it's time for the best of the best, the top 10 plays of the month. Late in the period to try and cut into this lead. Dill, a drop pass for Shooter, into the middle, loose, and a backhand run goal, kick saved by Taharian, rebound try also stopped.
3. Barber dances around 1, centers the pass to Lee, fires a shot. What a glove save that time by the goaltender, Jack Walsh.
Is able to move it out to center, but UCA takes control with Nichols. Then he has it knocked away. Here's Miller moving in by himself. Backhand scores as he gets free out of position.
Back to Trujillo, who barely keeps it in, drops it down low to Comside. Here's a man walking right in. Shell shot, score! Over to Pape. Pape having a tough time as Snyder blocks it. He's off to the races. Here's Benny Snyder with 1 man to beat. Snyder gets around him, walks down, goes to the backhand and stick to Snyder. We're going to score! Ben Snyder with the goal.
Just bringing it on side. Left it for Ratowski, cruising in. He shoots. He scores!
Wow.
Nick Ratowski with a game winner. And the Friars are 6-0.
My goodness. Ratowski will peel off. Could have been a 3-on-2, but Swanson at the end of a long shift. Here's Gardner, walks in and scores! Top shelf, right where Mama keeps the cookies. And right like that, Buck Beckman ties this game up at 4.
Boy, he found the smallest space and rimmed it around all the posts. Back behind Wolbert.
1-2 with Johnson cruising to the front of the net. Pass came through, rebound, looked up, Simpson with a save. It's still in the crease, and Tahoe gets it out of harm's way.
Geely trying to take on 3 defensemen. He'll drag through them all, shoot and score. What a goal. Jake Geely ties it up at 3 at 2:08. Did by Grady O'Brien. Opportunity for a break here for Orange Lutheran. Jacob Furry slides to a stop and slides it in. He'll slide it home and make it 6-0 Orange Lutheran. It's just not fair. What a nasty move by Jacob Furry.
He just stopped.
Once again, we'd like to thank Matt Blanchart for his thoughts on the month of October. And Eric, I'll tell you one thing. The season's only 2 months old. We still got plenty of months to go.
Yeah, we got all the way till March before we hit the championship games in the league. And don't forget, you can catch a lot of the action right here on Black Dog Enterprises in the ADHSHL. You can log on to the website and check the schedule for the remainder of the season. Also want to give a special thanks to Parker Brakebill from Orange Lutheran for stopping by to do an interview. And we want to give a congratulations to all of the varsity players of the month. That's going to do it for October here from the rinks at Anaheim. I just want to thank my partner Chuck Lejsek and Jeff Bowe, of course, our cameraman. And that's going to do it here for the month of October. I'm Erik Pessolano. We'll see you guys in November.